Punters will love that.
Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.
Hello and welcome to episode 408 of Fergo and the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Joining me as always is the glorious League Freak. You can also find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
I'm all right, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, I'm holding up pretty well. It's been a bit of a busy day.
That's good.
But yeah, I'm keeping my rage bottled up.
That's good. That's good. We'll do an episode after this week and uncork the rage bottle.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll probably say something unpleasant about someone.
Definitely. That's how we like it. I am pumped for State of Origin. You pumped for State of Origin?
I'll be honest, it snuck up on me.
Has it really?
It really has.
Yeah.
I was in the thing and I saw the team's name and went, State of Origin, that'll be next Wednesday. And then work stuff happened. Mm-hmm. And then I'll get on the computer today and I go, something's going on this week. What the fuck is that? Shit, Origin's tomorrow.
I'm so ready for State of Origin this year. Hey, it's like, I think it's been an interesting NRL season. The Panthers have only lost one game and now it's time for New South Wales versus Queensland, coached by 2 Channel 9 employees, which is always riveting stuff. And we've got our Palmerbet preview that we're going to do right now.
I was going to say, the one thing I found interesting is when they announced the teams last week, mm-hmm. I did see a brief thing on Fox Sports where they interviewed both of the coaches, mm-hmm. and the Fox Sports guys, I call them by their nicknames.
Yep.
Oh, hey, going Billy, and hey, Freddie. And they're not, the 2 coaches not replying with, they're not mentioning the commentators' names on NRL 360 by their name at all. They're not using any nicknames. They're not being blokey, matey, friendly, jokey. They're not being any of that. They're serious, and they're not saying their name because they're going, you know what? We work for a rival network. Fuck you all. Even Fittler, who's always sort of a pretty cheerful, jovial bloke, dead serious. He didn't mention a single one of the people on NRL 360 by their name.
Oh, really?
Didn't address a single one of them. And I went, you know what? Respect to you, Fred, because they don't need to be recognised at all.
Wouldn't it, like if you were saying their nicknames, like Boozy, Punchy, Spewy? Anyway, let's move on before we get in trouble.
Oldie,
Sleepy. Oh, man.
And that's just Buzz we've mentioned there.
Oh, Jesus. How dare you. So Palmerbet.com, who is our wonderful sponsor in 2022, they have all of the odds for the State of Origin Game 1 in Sydney on their website. Always remember to gamble responsibly. This is our preview. Should we get stuck into it?
We should start ripping in, I think.
Excellent. So, for the match results, New South Wales versus Queensland, Palmerbet.com has New South Wales at $1.54. Queensland are at $2.50. What do you reckon about that?
It feels a bit too high.
It does to me too in one of these state games, and I like the look of the Queensland team.
It's not bad. They've got good pace on the edges of the ruck, mm-hmm. And good go forward through the middle as well. So it's the only unknown entity is the coach, really, as you know, as a coach.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it works, but it's a pretty well balanced team that he's put together.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it. And I like the way, I think that, should we go through the team lineups?
Yeah, we can do that. We can definitely do that. I've got them here.
Okay.
So, I think I've got them here. Here we go. Right. New South Wales. This is the 19-man squad. So they've been cut down from the 22 or whatever it was they had before. Mm-hmm. New South Wales have got Tedesco, Tu'o, Staggs, White and Tupou in the back line, Luai and Cleary in the halves, Haas, Cook, Paulo in the front row, and Murray, Sims and Yo in the back row. And on the bench is Crichton, Martin, Campbell, Gillard and Madison. And on the extended bench is Nico Hines and Tyson Frizzell. For Queensland, they got Ponga, Cobbo, Holmes, Gagai, and Coates in the backs. Munster and Cherry Evans in the halves. Fast for Maluai, Hunt and Papali in the front row. Capewell, Kafusi, and Cotter in the back row. With Grant, Collins, Carrigan, and Nana on the bench. And Dearden and Arrow on the extended bench.
There was talk in the media today that New South Wales will be bringing Crichton into the starting side and putting Whiten on the bench. I'd be shocked if that didn't happen because it doesn't make sense otherwise, having Crichton on the bench. The other thing for Queensland, I wonder if they start with Hunt. They've done that before to take up that defensive load in the first 20 minutes and then bring Harry Grant off the bench. The other thing about Harry Grant is that he's shown he's really, really good off the bench for the Storm and Queensland in the past. So he can really handle that well. But yeah, I really like the look of this Queensland team. I know their record playing at the Olympic Stadium isn't as stellar as it is elsewhere. Palmerbet has them with I'm just looking at the line betting here. So the line is a 3.5 point head start to the Maroons at $1.90. The Blues have the minus 3.5 point also at $1.90. So they've even got this game being really close anyway. I don't know. I just think that I like both sides. Like, sometimes when you look at the Origin teams and you sort of say, oh, this side looks better than the other one. I look at these two teams and I just think that there's not much between them.
There isn't. Look, there's a few points where you can see in there where you might find certain attack might run. So I can see Cleary kicking an awful lot to Daniel Tupou's side, which would be where Selwyn Cobbo is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to suggest that Cobbo is poor under the high ball, but every player on debut in Origin is going to be nervous as fuck. That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So attack that while you can. Coates is playing with a lot of confidence at the moment with the Storm. And there's a few players in there who he has played with and still does. So he's going to be a little bit more comfortable there, I think. But that is a weird matchup there because it's Brian 2-0 up against Xavier Coates. It's like speed versus power.
Mm.
Interesting to see how that one works out. Luai, I can see being targeted an awful lot by the Queensland forwards.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if they rush him an awful lot. Kafusi especially would, and Capewell to some extent. They'll both be rushing up on him an awful lot to try and make him panic a little bit. Only to try and get Cleary stuck with the ball or playing a lot of footy in the middle of the field. Because they'll find that they'll be able to defend that a bit better. And yeah, the big one for me is Harry Grant on the bench. He's a genuine X factor on the bench. I don't think New South Wales has a similar X factor unless they had Hines on the bench, and it looks like they're not going to put him there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Harry Grant as a New South Wales fan scares me because he does have that ability to tear a game open, and because he's got so much experience coming off the bench in good teams. Like, he knows how to go out there and immediately make an impact. It's not something that he's never seen before. And I also agree the New South Wales bench, if you consider that Crichton is going to start and Whiten goes to the bench, the New South Wales bench is as much about just holding the line, if anything else. There's no one that's there that you're looking at. Martin can be a real handful coming off the bench, but it's not like he's a small body coming off the bench looking to inject some speed while everyone else is tired. So that, to me, is a big change between the two teams. The only thing that really separates them in terms of overall squads for me is just the Penrith connection. There's so many Panthers players in this New South Wales team. And because they're so familiar with each other's games, it's not going to take too much for them to just get straight into their role. I think that is one of the reasons why you would probably lean towards New South Wales a bit, and also being at home. I just had a look at the the weather for the game. It looks like it's going to be an absolutely clear night. It's obviously going to be cold, under 10 degrees, but it doesn't look like there's going to be any rain. It's going to be a little bit slippery because that's how the ground is out there at night during winter, but it's not like we're going to see a wet weather football game either. So hopefully we can see these two teams open up.
The good thing too about having cold weather is your forwards are going to have they're not going to get hot and worn out. They're still going to be pretty energetic. Mm-hmm. That's going to work probably a little bit more for Queensland because they've got a bigger pack.
Yeah.
I've only got two criticisms of the New South Wales team, and that's Whiten and essentially Madison on the bench. I just don't think they've been playing that great this year to deserve being in the side. But at the same time, Frizzell's on the extended bench. I can't see how you put him in the side either. So it's a weird one. But the other thing too, there's a lot of similarities in there. The thing that gets me is the halves. Cleary is more of a ball runner than Cherry Evans. Cherry Evans is going to play side to side more often.
Yeah.
That's not to say DC doesn't run much. He does still run the ball pretty well, but he's a lot more selective when he runs.
Yeah.
Luai tends to be more sideways, though, than Munster is. Munster tends to run pretty straight and direct. And so it's almost like they're reversing in that system. So it'll be interesting to see how that works.
It is interesting. And Munster's like a big dude. He's like a second row runner onto the ball. And if, like, Munster and Cleary, forget them being halves, they're two of the best ball runners in the game overall. It's interesting to see them, being opposite sides of the halves combinations, but both having that same thing in their game.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how each side uses tactics to try and box in the opposition's halves. Mm-hmm. Said before, I reckon you'll probably find Capewell and Kafusi will be tasked with trying to shut down Luai, which will try and essentially shut down the amount of expansiveness in the Blues attack. By the same token, New South Wales will be trying to get Cameron Murray and probably Youre to try and shut down Munster. I say Youre because Munster tends to play a little bit more in the middle than Luai does, so it's going to be a bit easier for Youre to chase him there. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting to see how it works, though, because the last time we had a back row who was really good at targeting halves and shutting them down was Wade Graham. That's just what he does. And he doesn't go out and wrap them up every time. What he does, he goes out and kind of, it's not quite blindsiding them, but just turns up unexpected and just sweetly hits them once or twice with a big hit, just rattles them a little bit to make them look before they get the ball. And it just causes a little hesitation, which allows the defence to get that one step ahead and shut down any attacking raids. That's what you want. Tarek Sims could pull that role off pretty well, but I've not seen him do too much of it at the Dragons. So I'm not sure if if it's something that the Blues will be trying to do here. But when you've got Munster, DCE, Kalen Ponga, and Harry Grant in your spine, not to mention Ben Hunt as well, you've got to be focusing on how you shut them down. That's too much attacking power across the field.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, like, you look at these two teams, and I do think Queensland's bench, I just like the look of it better. It makes me wonder if Queensland have looked at New South Wales and thought to themselves, look, we've got to break them down, we've got to break this team down, whereas the New South Wales team is more thinking along the lines of, we will wear them down, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Or outlast them.
Yeah, that sort of thing, because there's just that little bit of a change between the two teams, and like but it's so close. Like, this is going to be such a good game. I just can't wait for it. Hey.
Oh, fully agree. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
Now, do you think that this is going to be a high scoring game or a low scoring game?
I think it's going to be a kind of a typical scoring game for an Origin game where both sides are under 20.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be that like 16, 18. I'd be a little bit surprised if anybody hit 20. So Palmerbet on palmerbet.com, they've got the total points at 36.5 points. So if you go over 36.5 points, you get $1.90. If you go under 36.5, you also get $1.90. Part of me thinks it might be a little bit over. What do you reckon?
I'm going under.
You reckon?
Yeah, 32, I reckon.
Okay.
I'm going 18-14 to the Blues.
You know what it is? I think because I like the look of both sides. I feel as though if for whatever reason one of these sides really hooks it up, they could start scoring points on the other one. And I've got that in the back of my mind. So I'd probably go the overs just for that reason. Now, you've got some late mail.
Yeah, there's been a bit of late mail. I'm getting this courtesy of the NRL website, but says here, Tony Stagg suffered a dislocated finger at training, but is expected to be right to make his Origin debut alongside Madison and Crichton. Both Madison and Crichton have been named on the bench, although it's worth keeping an eye on the final team list to see if the latter is a surprise late switch with Jack Whiten. That's now Coruscant and Suwali were both dropped out of the final 19.
Yep.
For Queensland, no changes expected there. Ben Hunt will definitely be starting at hooker. Harry Grant on the bench. Grant has been struggling with the flu all week, and he's got a bit of a groin niggle.
Mm-hmm.
But neither of those expected to see him miss the game. Tabuai Fidau and Tuolungi both got dropped from the squad. I'm going to cut back to 19, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's been a pretty steady build up for both teams.
Yeah, no one was on deathbeds.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Normally Queensland have the famous virus goes through the camp and somebody was supposed to be in hospital up until kick-off time and stuff like that. That hasn't happened this time around.
I think the whole talk of viruses is a bit of a touchy subject thanks to COVID.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, look, it's a great game. If you had to pick a winner.
Yeah, I'm going New South Wales.
I'm going New South Wales too. Completely biased, by the way.
What scoreline are you going with? Because I'm going 18-14 to the Blues. I'll try and write this down somewhere.
Yeah, write it down. We'll see how close we got. Man, I'm kind of like you. I think it's going to be. Here's two things. Okay, my head says it's going to be about 18 points to 16 to New South Wales.
Yep.
All right. My heart says it's going to be 26 points to 22 New South Wales. I don't think that even gets me to the. Does that get me to? Yeah, it does. It gets me over the points total. So I just feel as though these two teams look so well balanced, and normally Origin is a real grind fest. But I just feel as though these two teams might just hook it up and we could be in for a bit of a higher scoring Origin game.
So you're going 26-22?
Yeah, I'll go 26. I'll go overall 26-22 New South Wales.
Okay. Alrighty, there you have it, people. If you're going with this experts here, you have to both pick unders and overs.
Yes. It's definitely going to be one of the two.
We're like the James Hoopers of betting. Go each way.
Yeah. Well, look, we're going to do a review of the game after the match. It's going to be put up really quickly after the match. Well, really quickly for us. It'll probably be before midnight. I hope everyone enjoys the match. I have a feeling it's going to be a classic. I know that a lot of people say that a lot of the time, but I don't know. There's just something about this game. I think it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I reckon Cotter is going to have an absolute cracker of a match.
Yeah, same here. I wouldn't be surprised if he come out and just started absolutely belting New South Wales players, hey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you had to pick a man of the match, who do you think it'll be?
Cleary or Tedesco? I'm going safe.
I'm going to say Payne Haas. I think that he's going to have a bit of a blinder. I think he's due.
He certainly is due. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, that wraps up a very, very good preview there. Thanks to our friends there at Palmerbet. Check out all the odds over at palmerbet.com. And always remember, gamble responsibly. Thank you, Mr. League Freak. Yeah,
thank you, Andrew, the real deal Ferguson. It's been cool being able to chat Origin with you.
Yes, and it's a very quick episode.
Yeah, well, it's previewing one game. It's a massive game, but we're making up for it this week with so many different episodes.
That's right. Hopefully we get back to doing 37 episodes a week. We'll see. I'm the anchor on that at the moment.
No, you're not the anchor on it. It's just,
me and my having another proper job caper.
Like this whole having a life thing, Andrew. Like, how dare you?
Yeah. Got to get back to being a nerd. I miss it. I miss it horribly.
Oh, no.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Make sure you check us out on the socials, Twitter and Instagram at Fergo Freak Pod. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and MySpace. So give us a follow, subscribe, like, bell icon, all those terms that I don't understand half of. Please also give us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast listening device. That would be much appreciated. Gamble responsibly, and we'll catch you after Origin.
Palmerbet with the big don't argue. Punters will love that. Download our app today and enjoy tackle-busting benefits with great odds, more markets, and same-game multi every NRL match at Palmerbet. Gamble responsibly. For Gamblers' Help, call 1-800-858-858.